What's up? Good morning. It is your boy Ninja from Above. Hello. Hi. Been a long time since I actually did one of these. I just wanted to come out and say I saw the new Batman movie. I've actually been watching about a movie a week now, and I figured it's been a while, so I'll do a review of the Batman movie in my own words, and then we'll go ahead and we'll go over other movies in the future. And so every time I watch a movie, we're just going to go ahead and do one of these. Why not? It makes sense, right? So before I start, I'd like to remind everyone I don't care. There's spoilers. There's spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, and if you're going to see the movie before you listen, just pay attention to what I say. You can go see the movie, then you can listen to what I say. Boom. Win-win. Or you can listen to this. If you don't care about spoilers, here it is. So the new Batman. If you were expecting a high action impact Batman like George Clooney or who was the last one? The Christian Bale or any of the other Batmans, you'd be wrong. You'd be absolutely wrong. So this isn't about Batman kicking ass and taking names and getting the bad guy. This movie was specifically about Batman being Batman. And I think it has a very original twist to it, because a lot of the other DC movies, they don't grasp that concept that Batman is also a detective. And I thought that was definitely prominent within the movie, and it was a good spin on what could have been a wonderful movie. A lot of people, I saw it got like a 7 or something on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't get that. Like a 70. I'm sorry. It was like a 70, right? I don't understand that. Yes, it is Batman, but it's Batman being Batman. So it's not action-packed. You don't got all the quirky characters going nuts, people blowing up, the city being destroyed completely. All that, you don't have all that. You have Batman being an investigator, a detective. You got Gordon, who's obviously not in the position where he was at the end of Dark Knight Rises, but still, I believe, he was just a police investigator. So that's fine. That's fine. It's good. Like, it's the roots. And I know they were going for year one Batman. They were like looking into year one. They got a lot of inspiration from year one Batman in the comics. But it was supposed to be year two, which makes sense. They did take a lot of references from year one, which I did notice. I'll go over Robert Patman, because honestly, I thought Robert Pattinson was going to do a terrible job. I thought he was going to be awful. I loved Edward in Twilight. And yeah, you can dog on me all you want. The shiny vampire glows in the sun. I don't care. He was awesome. He did a great job. I really got into the movie, not based on him, based on the story, but still, Twilight was great. But Robert Pattinson did a good job as the vampire, and I thought maybe he's not cut out for really hard, angry, year one type Batmans. But he did a fantastic job. I'll tell you, I did not expect such a performance from Robert Pattinson. I did not. I didn't. I was genuinely happy and surprised. He did great. So, kudos to him for his acting. It was on par with what I perceived year one Batman to be. Very dark, ominous, standoffish. He did a great job. Unless that's just his personality and he just came onto the show and that was it. So, I mean, you kind of got the same vibes from Twilight, right? Dark, ominous, don't really know what he's going to do, but it's a vampire. So, yeah, kind of the same concept. He did a great job. I would like to see more Robert Pattinson in the future for Batman movies, especially this specific Batman, because this specific Batman, like I said, is not action-packed. It's not, he's not fighting everybody. There's like 3 fight scenes in the entire movie. Maybe 4. There's not a whole lot of fighting. It's a lot of detective work. It's a lot of mystery. It's a lot of puzzle solving. Which brings me to my next character that they made the main villain. And I don't specifically know, I don't think that any other DC movie has made this guy the main villain. Of course, Jim Carrey played him back, I think it was Batman Returns or Batman Forever, one of the two. Which, Jim Carrey, he was quirky and funny and kind of how you would expect this villain to be. But they put a different twist on it, and I actually enjoyed the twist. It was the Riddler. The Riddler was, he's not all there. He's crazy, but he's intelligent, and I love that about the Riddler. And when I saw, the actor, first of all, he did a fantastic job, because I've seen this actor, and I think I saw him in that movie where they go on like the road trip, Sex Drive. I'm almost positive it's the same kid from Sex Drive. He's lost a lot of weight. He looks really good. I'm pretty sure it's the same actor. Don't quote me. I don't know. But when I saw him originally, I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is a weird Riddler, right? The riddles were pretty intricate. They were simple, though, so that you could understand it. And if you didn't get the riddles, obviously, you just don't know riddles that well. I've, of course, went through so many riddles thanks to some of my people on my stream. They love to give me riddles. I can't stand riddles, but I get some of them sometimes. But when I saw the Riddler, I was like, okay, this is very intricate. He's very dark. He's very deceptive. His riddles were simple, easy to understand. At least some of them were. There was a few in the movie that indicated that it was strictly for the movie, and that's okay. It's kind of like one that was like, how do you turn a blind eye? How much does it cost? And what he was saying is how much hush money does it take for the DA to turn away from a case. So, yeah, it was specifically made for him. So, yeah, he was very dark. He was very descriptive. I liked him a lot as a character. He made the movie very interesting to watch because of his character plot. And then you find out he's insane. And, like, at the end, he really shows that level of, I don't know how to word it, the level where his mentality is. You can really tell this guy is not all there because he plans everything out, and if it doesn't go according to plan, you can see him begin to snap. They did add something at the end, which I'll get to later on, but it was stupid, and it shouldn't have been in the movie, but it's whatever. Then, of course, you have Penguin. Penguin was in the movie. It doesn't take much to play the Penguin. I honestly feel like you can take any shorter guy, give him a scar on his face. You can give him a monocle, but I don't understand. This Penguin was before the monocle, I guess. I don't know. And then you just go ahead and tell him to be a hardened criminal who gets scared real easy by Batman. And then that's it. That's your character. So I honestly didn't feel like... great actor, he did a good job, but it could take a monkey to do that job. It's not really that hard to play the Penguin. And then, of course, you got oh, Jesus, I'm going to forget his name. Falcano or Falcon... damn it, I forgot the name. But anyway, there was this riddle throughout the entire movie that was just like a bat with wings. I was like, it's a falcon. It's a falcon. Like, come on, bro. he's the one. He's the guy you're after. And, of course, Batman, being the greatest detective, should have figured that out way earlier on in the movie. But it's whatever. He was thinking it was a bat. He was thinking it was a penguin. He was thinking of, all this other stuff. And, obviously, that's not what it was. So we'll get into that whole mess here in a minute, because yes, he did a good job. Obviously, I think was it Jeff Goldblum, great actor. He always plays a good role. Or no, that wasn't Jeff Goldblum. My apologies. It was the guy. It was a guy from all those Adam Sandler movies. He always plays the funny guy, He was in Anger Management. That's the one movie that's prominent with me that he played. Chuck? Not Chuck. Was it Chuck? I can't remember. But he's the guy that he was always smoking the cigarettes, and he was always real angry. Good, just, I can't remember, a gray-haired guy with a jacket. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's a good actor. I've seen him in a couple movies. The one that stands out the most is Anger Management, obviously. I watched that a million times. But he played Falcane. I was like, okay. That weird character pick, but you know what? He did a good job. It doesn't really take much to play that character, once again. Just, you're a mob boss in the city, and you own pretty much everything. Go. It's just a little easy to play that character. It's not hard to portray it. Because it's not a complex character. But they had them in the movie. We'll go into the fight scenes now, because there was so little of them that it really didn't matter. So, the first fight scene that you see is in a subway. He goes over. Batman, obviously is hiding in the shadows, waiting for criminals. It's Halloween. These criminals start pounding the crap out of this guy, and I guess their initiation to get into the gang was to punch people in the face and just knock people out. And if you knock people out, then you're qualified to be in their gang. I don't know, but they were all wearing the face paint, kind of like Joker. So I was like, all right. It adds up. People just being stupid. So Batman comes over, and he just starts wailing on these dudes. Awesome fight scene, but very slow. So it's almost like they went at half speed for the movie. It wasn't like Batman was doing all these weird kicks and flips and tricks and whacking people in weird ways and hitting them with his elbows and his knees. No, this was like real slow movement, normal fight scene. There was a few areas where it was kind of like, oh yeah, he grabbed the bat from that guy. Oh geez, he grabbed the knife from that guy. Oh, that's cool. But it was just normal movements at like half speed. But when he finally gets the guy on the ground, he just starts wailing on him. And I was like, damn, Batman's getting a little dark here, I think at one point in the movie, Batman takes a taser and tases a guy in the throat. I was like, Jesus, there we go. You know what I mean? That was interesting. I did like that aspect that Batman just could let out. He pulls his punches a lot on criminals. I feel like he wasn't pulling so much punches as much as they could have sped up the fight scenes to about 75%. It would have looked a little cleaner. And that's for every fight scene in the movie. That's not just for the original fight scene, but that's the first fight scene you see. I think it's within the first 20 to 30 minutes of the movie. And you really just see how slow the fight is. As far as the detective aspect of it, it goes in depth. It's got his bat cave with the bat computer. He's got these, instead of using his helm for any type of eye camera or any type of movement detection, he actually has contact lenses that do that for him instead, to where he can see infrared, he can record video, he can record audio from his suit, I'm assuming. But the contact lenses is what does it all, rather than the cowl. And I thought that was an interesting twist, because obviously. The cowl's not that modernized. You could tell the Batmobile wasn't that modernized, because the Batmobile was like, it just looked like an old 67 Chevy Impala that was souped up with turbo and a jet boost. That's pretty much what it looked like. And I was like, okay, you can tell this is kind of going in the route of year 1, year 2 Batman, because he doesn't have all the cool gadgets that he would have originally. So then we find ourselves, after all that, he finds himself in the police department. He shows up to a scene, a crime scene, where the Riddler has killed someone, and there's a note to the Batman, right? So all the cops at this point think that this mass vigilante is a POS, and they don't want to deal with Batman. They don't like people in costumes, and understandably so. Like, mainly criminals are in costumes in the DC universe. So, I mean, obviously heroes are too, but they kind of shun him at first, which then really brings up the year 1, year 2 Batman, because Batman wasn't really well recognized by anyone in those years, and it made a whole lot of sense, because it was like, oh, who is this guy? Even the guy he saved in the subway from the previous fight scene that I told you about, he was like, please don't hurt me. They have no idea who Batman is. It's just a guy in a bat suit. They have no idea what he does. They don't know who he is. And it's a good, not origin, but half origin story for him about how he started as a hero, which I like that. I think that was a really good twist. So he's at the police department. They shun him. He gets the note from the Batman. That's when he gets his first riddle with a cipher. I thought the cipher was really interesting because it reminded me kind of the Zodiac. And I was talking on stream, and apparently Lordy had told me that the Batman was actually made by the same person that made the Zodiac, so now all the symbols kind of make sense. Batman decrypts the code along with Alfred. I thought that was interesting that Alfred helped him so much, but then again, Alfred had to help him in the comic books get somewhere, right? So it was really cool to see him be a detective at that point. They find out the first code. They go ahead and crack that. They, do everything the Riddler says to do. He meets with the Penguin in the club. Obviously, I believe it's the Iceberg. I wasn't a huge DC fan, but I did like the Batman comics. So they go over there. They meet with him. Just a normal type of thing, but you could tell Batman's kind of unhinged. He slams Penguin up against the wall. He's not going to deal with his crap. Obviously the normal stuff that Batman does. Moving forward, the high-speed chase with Penguin was incredible. I thought it was amazing. Great high-speed chase that they did there. Especially like the realization that Batman was a badass is where that really comes into play. Because before that, you didn't really think Batman was much of anything. You're just like, okay, he's a cool detective, I get it. But when he starts like fighting his way through everything and actually being able to hold his own, it was pretty awesome to see. That was a pretty epic scene. Moving forward, we finally get to the dirt of the movie, where Batman finds out that Falcone, Falcone is the one who beat his, or the one who killed his parents, or got his parents killed. And that's when everything kind of comes to light. He realizes what's going on, gets mad, obviously, tries to figure it out by himself in his detective mode, and then obviously once he figures out that Falcone is the one who did it, he goes ahead and puts on the cowl once again. You only see him as Bruce Wayne probably about 3 times in the movie, and every time he's Bruce Wayne, he doesn't say much, he doesn't do much, he just kind of like hangs out. He's kind of like a loner, right? And that makes sense. But he does a great job as a young Bruce Wayne. So then, of course, you have after that whole aspect of meeting Falcone and finding out what's going on, you get he gets arrested at one point. And once he gets arrested, it's one of the funniest scenes of the movie. I don't think they intended it to be funny, but they intended it to be like, this is where Batman learned to fly. Because in all the other movies, Batman already jumps off of buildings. He uses his rappel tools to get down and everything like that. He goes to the top of GCPD, and he's looking down over the city and realizes, like, oh, crap. If I jump, I might die. He pulls this suit to make like a squirrel suit, and it looks like it's his first time ever flying in the squirrel suit ever. And I thought that was one of the more funny sequences from the movie, because I was like, that's not like a Batman that knows what he's doing. He like stumbles, looks over the edge, looks super nervous, turns around, sees all the police behind him, and then he gets scared, pulls the cord and jumps. I was like, holy crap, that's insane. This is his first time flying. And his fall, like at the end, he stumbles and rolls and like hits his back on a pole. It was like, oh geez, yeah, you have never done this before. So it's like you got to experience the first time Batman was ever flying. I thought that was really cool at the end there. So then you move forward and you get, obviously Batman into all these other predicaments. The best part that I liked a lot was how in-depth with the Riddler they went. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit towards the end of the movie. The Riddler has like the craziest plan to blow up Gotham and flood the entire city, which it's weird to see the Riddler with such a strong plan. Now I get Riddler, he in the comic books it was a little different. He was definitely more like he is in this movie, but they've never portrayed him that way before, so obviously it was nice to see that Riddler was actually a main villain. I'm going to fast forward to the ending type of fight scene that happens above the town hall. They're going over the election, going to find out who's going to be the next mayor so that they can fix the city of Gotham. And this is where all the events come in and Riddler's main plan comes into play. I thought that was clever that they did it like that, as opposed to like, obviously the Harvey Dent thing from Dark Knight Rises, everything like that. But what ends up happening is Batman fights a very almost medium pace fight, I'd say. It's probably about 50 to 65% fight scene on top of a chandelier and a bunch of scaffoldings above the actual election process, with a bunch of Riddler's goons, which I thought that was pretty cool because they were all wearing the Riddler mask, and I just thought that was a cool sequence to do, it was awesome. Then, of course, during the fight, Batman gets like rendered unconscious, and one of the goons starts to like strangle Catwoman. Right? First of all, Catwoman's character was, you could, anyone could play Catwoman's character. I don't understand. Like, yeah, she did a good job. She played the role. She was a lot like Halle Berry's Catwoman, if it was like less sassy, I'd say. She just did a normal job being Catwoman. Like, the spin on Catwoman was a little weird, but it was fine. It was just normal Catwoman. If you've seen any Catwoman movie, or if you've seen any Batman with Catwoman in it, she just acts like Catwoman. But more or less, it was like a dulled down version of Catwoman. Like, not as sassy, not as, how do I put this? Sexually introductive. More, just, hey, I'm Catwoman. You could literally just throw anyone into that spot and do that, and boom, you got it. So, obviously, props to the actors. She did a good job. However, it doesn't take much to do that job. So I felt like a lot of the secondary characters were just kind of trimmed over. They were just like, I think they were given those specific roles as Penguin, Falcone, whatever, and Catwoman, just because they were easy roles to fill. It wasn't too much necessary, needed. Obviously, the more intricate characters were Batman and the Riddler, which both actors did a great job. Very surprising, Robert Pattinson. So we're fast forwarding to that fight. Batman gets knocked out. Catwoman's on the ground, getting choked out. Batman injects himself with a green ooze, and of course, throughout the movie, you're like, how does Batman keep it together? How does he heal? Everything like that. Well, before, I remember in the comics, now don't quote me on this, but I'm almost positive, Batman had created a thing called Venom. It was the Venom toxin that allowed you to have superhuman strength, superhuman abilities, regen capabilities. It was like a shot of adrenaline, but it was like a very, very heavily boosted shot of adrenaline. And you see him pop it off and stab himself with it like an EpiPen and inject himself with it. And of course you're sitting there like, man, what, was that just what I think it was? And I think that's what opens the gateway for a second Robert Pattinson Batman. So a Patman, I'm just going to call it Patman. Because now you've introduced Venom, the toxin that allows you to boost, which is what ultimately created Bane to be the villain he was. And if they do go with that way, they're going a lot closer to the comic book villain Bane, who was a luchador, than any other DC movie has done. Now, the one, I think it was Batman Forever. I think Val Kilmer was Batman. He did an amazing job as Batman. One of the most underrated Batmans, I think, we've ever had is Val Kilmer as Batman. But that is the one where he faces off against Bane. And Bane has injected into himself, the entirety of his body, the Venom toxin. But he shrivels up into like a little tiny guy when the Venom toxin's not run through his body. Now, this wouldn't be the case because Bane is a luchador wrestler. He's naturally big. So the Venom toxin really just makes him stronger than what he already is. So I thought they did a good job on that in that movie, but I don't think that it was absolutely 100% accurate due to the comic. But if they do Detective Batman against Bane, that might actually be really cool. Like I said, I love the Detective Batman aspect because it's way different than any of the other Batmans that you've ever seen. The whole thing is people don't want that. They pay to go see a superhero movie. They want to see action. They want to see, all this other stuff. But this is like a crime-solving Batman. And this is just something we've never witnessed before. And I think it's great that they went that way with, especially because Patterson, right? He's good, but we don't know how. He doesn't look very aesthetic, right? He doesn't look very strong. He just looks like a normal guy. So with that being said, you can tell he's not physically fit to host all these fight scenes. He's not like the chiseled Chris Evans or Chris Hemsworth or any of the Chris's in Hollywood. He's just him, which makes it more believable that he's just like more a detective type than an action type, which is fine. It works with Batman's character. It works. So then, obviously I thought that opened up the gates to like year 3, year 4, they generate the Venom toxin and they sell it by the boatload, which is what inevitably creates Bane. So you got a chance, right? The thing I didn't like was the other segue for the second Batman, and that was at the end of the movie. You see the Riddler incarcerated in his cell in Arkham Asylum, and next to him there's a man who tells him a riddle back, right? And while he's telling him a riddle back, they both start laughing together. Now, the distinct laugh of the Joker is something that everyone has grown to love and appreciate throughout the years. However, the distinct laughter can only be utilized for so long before you start to think, okay, is that possibly what's going on? So when you hear the laugh at the end, you know because of how much they're laughing, it's probably the Joker. And I didn't like that. They didn't show a face. They didn't show a figure. They didn't show anything like that. And mind you, this is supposed to be a long time before the Joker actually appears. This is like year 1, year 2 Batman. So this is when Batman's starting his roots. But then I heard from somebody else that it takes place after the Joker's been dead, but that doesn't make any sense. So it's before the villains all knew they were villains, right? Or not that they didn't know that they were villains, but they didn't have a nemesis like Batman. So they start laughing together at the end, and you can really tell like the person laughing was trying to go for that Joker laugh, but just didn't nail it whatsoever. And you hear it and you're like, okay, so they're going to introduce a Joker, I guess. And that was the second segue that they had. So the first segue was the Venom toxin, which I thought would be beneficial to what was going on. The second one was the Joker laugh at the end, which I absolutely hated. I didn't feel like that was necessary at all. I felt like Riddler could have just been being a psychopath by himself in his cell because he kept thinking that Batman was his ally the entire time, but that's because I think he's known as a schizophrenic, I'm pretty sure in the comic. I can't remember exactly. I know he has some type of mental disorder. But with that being said, obviously you hear the Joker, or somewhat of a Joker's laugh, and you're like, okay, you're going to open the doors for this. Who's going to play the role? Is it going to be important? That's one of the main things. Is Joaquin Phoenix did the most amazing role of playing just a more realistic Joker than anyone else. And then you got Jared Leto, who was just absolute dog crap. I couldn't stand Jared Leto's Joker. It was terrible. And then you had Heath Ledger, who's no longer with us, rest in peace. I mean, his Joker was incredible. But if you could mix Joaquin Phoenix Joker with Heath Ledger's Joker, you would be in the money. You would be absolutely in the money. Like a more realistic, if Heath Ledger had been more realistic in the role, I mean, he was actually like the perfect Joker. I guess it was just his voice. If you could put Mark Hamill's voice on Heath Ledger's Joker, you'd be in the money. That's perfect. But Joaquin Phoenix did an amazing job to fill the shoes after Heath Ledger's passing. Jared Leto, trash. I don't even consider him to be a Joker. I don't even know why he was in Suicide Squad or why they continued to reprise his role after the fact. He's playing Morbius now. I haven't seen that, but when I see that, I'll obviously do a review on that one. I think it's going to be trash as well, but that's just me. So, when it comes down to the Joker, who are we getting? And then there was the kid in Gotham that was known to be the Joker, but then not the developers, but the actual people that created the show stated that he wasn't the Joker. I can't remember his name now, but a good actor. He's a teenage actor, I believe. He might be a little bit older. But he did a good job at portraying what would be a Joker, but then they go out and tell everybody, oh, he's not the Joker. He's the person that's supposed to take up the role of a future Joker. So he doesn't do the joking, he's just inspiration for the Joker. And I kind of saw that and I was like, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but it is what it is. He did a fantastic job. Are we getting him, right? Or are we getting Joaquin Phoenix back at a younger age, maybe. Like it's Joaquin Phoenix Joker, but at a younger age. Or maybe it's an older Joker, and we just don't know. And they could be going for something crazy like The Killing Joke, or something like that, or Batman actually, the green stuff was the Joker toxin that ends up entering his bloodstream from the Arkham games. I mean, there's so many variables on what we could actually do in this universe, and I think that because they've opened up this more detective-like Patman, they did a great job in doing that. I hated the ending, though. The segue was stupid. They definitely should have changed that. They should have kept that out. Just had the Riddler in his cell. Left it to the Venom that Batman inject himself with. Kind of maybe label it so that people know exactly what he's doing. But for fans, you're going to know what it is because it could be either or. He did go a little crazy when he put it into his body, so it could just be, it could either be the Venom toxin, which made him go berserk, or it could be the Joker toxin that went ahead and fried his brain a little bit, and maybe if it was after Joker died, it could be the Joker toxin. I mean, but we don't know because Joker is never mentioned at all in the movie, so we have no idea what year we're actually in. It does say year 2. In the movie, it says year 2, but I don't know if this is after Joker's passing or not. I'm a little fuzzy on the comic books, but yeah, that was my little review on the Batman movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I thought they did an amazing job delivering, and I thought it was a good spin on what Batman actually is versus what Batman is portrayed to be. Batman's a detective that fights crime occasionally, and that's exactly what the movie portrayed. And when you have all the aspects of the starting criminal cast, from Falcone, who's actually, he dies in the movie, but if I'm not mistaken, he doesn't die in the comics right away, so that's kind of a weird trait, unless they revive him, which can be possible in the DC universe. We don't know. But yeah, you guys can let me know what you think. If you want to, send me a message based on my podcast. Let me know what you guys think. And you guys have a wonderful day out there. Hopefully, you guys are being safe, doing the right thing, right place, right time. And I'll catch you guys on the next podcast. The next one is going to be about the Adam Project. I actually really enjoyed that movie, but I'll get more into it when I get to that podcast. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.